Hello, hello. Alright, so we're working on the March Hare today. Checking volume levels because I was tooling around with them earlier, just to make sure we're not too loud. Alright, and looking forward to getting the rest of the March Hare penciled in. I've started with a rough sketch of him sitting at the table for the Mad Hatter's tea party and just finalizing some details. So I'll go ahead and get zoomed in here. I have notifications popping on my phone, all that stuff. Should be nice and quiet. And give me just one moment. Sorry about that. I just realized that I left my my radio on in the background, and that can be a big no-no. This track is way too busy. I'm going to go back to our usual playlist. I was hoping that I could kind of kill two birds with one stone and use the tracks I was listening to during the stream to determine what I was going to be downloading, but that I think is going to be too distracting for me to go ahead and juggle both. So we'll go back to our tried and true. And I'll be dealing with the music downloads later. So there we go. And that starts off pretty quiet, but I won't feel like I'm having to compete over it to be able to talk. I did go ahead and touch up the roses a little bit after the stream yesterday. Just added some darker shading using the sap green and carbazole violet, and then deepened a couple of shadows on this largest rose with the just a touch of carbazole violet as well. As far as how Wonderland's going, I'm actually gonna back up, but we'll do a quick tour. So just in case anyone's new. And that is crooked. Here we go. Alright, everything's straightened out now. So we have the tree from the real world, as I'm calling it, into the rabbit hole. We have the keyhole that shows the hallway that Alice was first in. I'm going to add some lines to do like tiles for that floor. I'm not happy with that floor yet. We have this beach area for like where the caucus race took place, and that'll have the dodo back there. That's a prompt coming up in the next day or two. We'll go over that when I pull up the list later. We have the caterpillar and a mushroom forest that goes into more of a deciduous forest back there. We have our Tweedles. I need to put faces on them. Same thing with the Mad Hatter and Alice. They don't have faces either. Work in progress. So lots of little elements. We are getting towards that finish line. We have our birthday elements down here in the Mad Tea Party with the Dormouse holding a spoon. I need to pop a quick highlight in there and add more to the table still. We have a flower. There's a random prompt for a flower that wasn't the talking flowers. The talking flowers have their own separate prompt. So I'll be doing that one a little bit later. We have our white rabbit. Make sure that what I'm doing while I'm talking is holding stuff in frame. So as always, glad to hear questions or comments. We have our frog footman. He'll have a head shortly. And we have our croquet court. A bit of a hedgerow. I'm going to add a gate and rose vines onto the hedges. We have our checkerboard area and the Jabberwock, which was the prompt for creature. I wound up going with Jabberwock. And he's standing on top of a rook to go ahead and bring in some of the more chess-themed elements that you see in Through the Looking Glass. That's where the Tweedles are introduced as well. The Tweedles were in the Disney movie, which combined elements of the original Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, along with Through the Looking Glass and what Alice found there. So little bits and lots of things. But I almost have all of the faces in. The dodo I'm not so worried about because I think he'll be like a slightly darker color than some of the other elements have been. So I might be able to do him with to go ahead and do my black background splotches without him there. That should probably be pale enough. I don't want to go too dark for the beach area. So lots of little things going on in the background here. I probably won't need this because I'm working down at the bottom corner until I'm painting. And zooming in. My brother, we get to thank for some details on today's prompt, just kicking ideas into my brain. And I think that's straight. And we'll come in a little bit more while I move the panel over just a touch. So everything is accommodated pretty well on the desk. And quick eraser skewings. Just clear that off a bit. So let's do a bit of a saucer. I also want to have a little bit of a chair behind him. Be right there. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and get to his arms, which I think we'll go ahead and do this on the saucer, maybe. Nice little saucer. I'm doing that 2 round. I need to get more into an oval. I was kind of liking the whimsical. I went back to the kind of ethereal kind of playlist here. I don't feel like that. It's not really where I want to be for the Mad Tea Party. Sorry, I'm rambling about music. There was a plain... No, it's not coming up. Okay. Oh, because everything's going to run slow. My system's a little warm. Let's turn that up. Turn on my fans. There it goes. You know, some of search engines really need to go ahead and fix themselves, because if you type in circus and there's a playlist titled Twisted Circus, it should come up in the search results. So, moving away from that ethereal, this one will be a little bit more random. I'll probably occasionally skip some tracks ahead, because I know that there's a couple I don't like. So I've already gotten into the process of downloading that for future. But I'm not completely set on setting up the plugin. So that'll just have to wait a day. Let's see. Oh, yeah, working on his arm. So we have the arm of his coat coming up here. Be like the thumb coming down here, kind of wrap around. Top of the fingers up this way. I'm just generally blocking them in. I don't want to go too detailed yet, because I know I will be changing placement here and there. And then going around. Give me just a moment here. Alright. I'm not in love with the angle there. I think I'm going to change the angle of the fingers. And that way we can go ahead and fit in what I want to make this appear to be an alarm clock. Put a little alarm clock feet down here. The other one would be under there, right behind the thumb. feel like the plate's in the wrong area too. This thing's a mess. Whole thing's a mess. How about if I worry about the alarm clock first and then we'll put the plate down? Because I know what I'm gonna do. I just gotta make everything fit. So, top of the alarm clock, you have... There's normally like this little handle type thing. And then there's the bells. And generally behind the bells you have a little striker mechanism that would be going back and forth. I think. Don't quote me on this. These look kind of distorted because they're more like cup shapes from this angle. And then you go ahead and round out the bottom. This one we would see a little bit more of it, even though it should probably be a little bit closer up there. And the rest of that curls down away. And then for the Hatter's hand, we'll have like the thumb coming out of the bottom of the sleeve. That's looking a bit better. And hopefully all that detail is getting picked up pretty decently. Bottom of the clock here. I would do a clock face, but for our bit of madness coming from the March Hare, it's actually spreading it with jelly, like it's a piece of toast. Alright, and we'll go ahead and do a quick moment to hop onto Twitch and say, hey! Hello, Rowdy Robbie. So what do you think? March Hare spreading toast on an alarm, spreading jelly on an alarm clock like it's toast. So, I'm just trying to think of how his hand would be holding the butter knife. Right, so this hand would come down. The thumb would extend down below. We're seeing most of the top of the hand, so the other fingers would be wrapping around this way. And yes, I have to do this every time I'm thinking about having something in hand, just to make sure the thumbs are on the correct side, because that is a mess you don't want. Nice. Yeah, I did like the Disney version when they did the watch repair for the White Rabbit. That was really cute. I'm not doing the whole end of the butter knife here because there's going to be jelly spreading it onto the surface, so I don't need all of that to be indicated because I'm going to have parts of these edges being lost. I'm probably going to do the jelly first and then paint whatever is left of the butter knife so you can see that the metallic effect. I do think I want to give him a little saucer underneath the alarm clock. Oh, I'm trying to get that little skewing. Great. Hopefully that's obvious enough that it's an alarm clock. very gently adding that saucer underneath and trying to maintain the same angle that I've been doing for these other plates. That's one thing that I still work on all the time, is making sure my ovals look alright when they're free-handed. I think that works. And I'm just tapping off some of the excess graphite. I think I'm good as far as how everything looks on the jacket. This is a teeny bit dark here, but I'm planning on going with a dark color on the jacket anyway, so I don't mind that being a little bit dark, but I just don't want it too dark. Back of the chair needs to come down, be right there, so I'll just fill that in brown. Yeah, I think that works. And my bitrate's gone, a little bit trashy for the online, for the stream. Frustrating. Oh, hopefully I have that nice crazy look in the March Hare's eye here. I forgot to remove some graphite here. Just doing that last check to make sure everything's good. And here I have the table appearing through his arms. Like, that's not right. That needs to get fixed. And that looks like that did squat. Did I put this too dark earlier? Yeah, that's still appearing quite dark. I don't know what's going on with that. So, just to be thorough, doing a quick cleaning the eraser on a piece of paper, just to make sure I'm not like smudging other graphite really. And I'm more than happy to go through his arm just so I can get a little more leverage in there and really erase on that. I know I'll probably have to redraw that arm. But yeah, that line is not fidgeting. I don't know why that... I must have put that in a little darker than I intended to before. It's fairly pale now because I did a lot of early on erasing to go ahead and start getting ready for painting those elements in. I'm not quite there. I saw this really cute version of the March Hare online. What's his name? Well, that train of thought is gone. Let's see if I can find it. It was from scottgustafson.com, and the thing I really like about his version is he did the he curled the whiskers like they're kind of like an extension of a mustache. I'll actually go ahead and put out there, like, the Alice in Wonderland that Tim Burton did. I don't like that they made the March Hare an old man, or at least to me he seemed like an old man. There's just something about him was a little opposite of where the phrase came from. Talking about mad as a March Hare. I think was the name. It was the phrase. Yeah, mad as a March Hare is a common British English phrase, both now and in Carol's time. and appears in John Hayward's collection of proverbs published in 1546. So it's based on the belief about hares' behavior at the beginning of the long breeding season, which lasts from February to September in Britain. And that is coming from Wikipedia. There are citations, so I don't feel too weird reading a little bit of it. When an article has 0 citations, it's like, yeah, that's garbage. I always suggest being dubious about Wikipedia because of how many people want to spread like misinformation out there. Alright, and getting into the March Hare himself, I'm grabbing a bit of the quinacridone burnt orange and indanthrone blue mix that we have. These are just general puddles that I tend to keep in my neutrals area. You can see the little puddle of quinacridone burnt orange there. Just grabbing a little bit more, just to make sure I have plenty. So I'm definitely sticking with a more brown mix. So a decent sized puddle of the quinacridone burnt orange, and there's the indanthrone blue. And in the middle is going to be where my mix is going to sit for that brown. And it's basically just enough of the indanthrone blue to make this a nice brown shade. You don't need a lot of it. I'd figure I'd lay down a bit of paint for the hare himself first. Then we'd worry about getting his suit painted in. And so every day I find these fuzzies now. So this ear, I have it being downturned. And we're doing short strokes for the rest of the fur on the outside edge. Make it look a little bit more like this is fur. I'll do the same thing from here along the center. I am going to go back in and darken it. I just want to lay in a little bit of a lighter color first. It's easier to go darker. It's not so easy to change your mind and go lighter. Unless you're going with like a gouache or something like a bleed-proof white, something like that. You definitely need some more variation for color here. And I'm just kind of going in with some wisps. The brush at this point is pretty dry. Makes the eye area look a little weird. Maybe we'll fix that. We go a little bit denser right here. Because there's whenever you have like a inward curve on a surface, especially like fur, the hair will kind of clump together a little bit there, and it'll appear a little bit darker, a little more dense. So we tend to do a little more value there. Over here, I'm trying to go really light because we have the outward curve that's going to push the hairs apart a little bit. You're going to see a little bit more light able to come down through them. Even though he has brown, I'm trying to be pretty gentle about the color right there. Down under the ear, I'll get a little bit darker with a shadow color later. And we'll add a little bit of variation. We'll go a little bit darker, more towards the indanthrone blue with that mix. So I'm going to take part of the mix that we were just using. I'm going to create like a secondary puddle, still in that middle area, but just that way I can work a little bit more of the Andanthrone blue into it, so I can get that deeper version of the color, but still retain a little bit of the old one in case I do need any more of it. I will need more of it. I need to do his hands still. So I have a little bit of that darker brown, and I don't mind if this is still a little bit wet because I want to darken that color just a touch. So we'll go in very lightly. I'm just barely patting the brush onto this area, so mostly focusing on that convex area, and then also this area for shadow underneath the ear and a touch along the top of the ear. I don't think I want quite strong enough with the Andanthrone blue, so I will do another pass a little bit later. And we'll do a touch over here on top of the ear. My brush is really dry right now, so we're only getting like a whisper of color, and that's fine by me. I think we're going to put our bunny into a blue suit. Just to go ahead and give a further contrast to the orangey brown tone that his fur is. And I will go ahead and grab the lightest little bit, I think, of the quinacridone burnt orange. I'm just going to shade this just a teeny bit darker, just to the edge of the ear, implying a slight bit of color. We'll do the same for the muzzle. I'll draw some whiskers on him, but I want to do that a little bit later where I can get in there with really fine detail. We'll do the bottom of his mouth too. And then going back to the original mix for the quinacridone burnt orange and Andanthrone blue. Now we can go ahead and give these furry little fingers a bit of color. I am doing a little bit of an outline because this isn't realism, this is a bit abstract. And then also focusing a lot of color across the back of the hand because that would be darker in value. A lot of times the muzzle or face areas tend to be a little bit lighter. And I want to help convey that bit of realism. Alright, so now just figuring out where pimp suit like Steve Harvey. Nice. I mean, I could go with a bright blue. I was kind of leaning towards like the Andanthrone, but I do have probably a bit of that blue. Well, I mean, it's on fairly small elements in the composition. We have Andanthrone was used for Alice's dress, and used for the Tweedle, the blue accents on the Tweedles. Yeah, there's nothing really blue. Maybe I will start with the bright blue, and then I'll go ahead and deepen in the shadows. Told them go home. They're drunk. It's April, not March. Nice. Yeah, hopefully the bitrate on Twitch improves in a moment here. But in the meantime, we're doing good. We actually have some paint on the surface before a half hour in. Progress, man. I'll take it where I can. I just seem to be a little bit all over the place with some of that. I know I have a puddle of quinacridone coral on this palette. Unless you know what, I probably removed it, now that I'm thinking about it. Ooh, well. Ooh, what I do need to do though. Okay, he's pretty dry. I forgot to knock down the edges of the collar. This whole collar area is quite a bit darker than it needs to be. And that's assuming if I go with a standard like white starched shirt type effect. Which I might. I'm not positive. But yeah, that needed to be knocked down a bit. Alright, so it does say that I'm still streaming on Twitch. I'm going to be a little more paranoid about looking for that today. And that's because I had the end of yesterday's video get cut off, which is a little scary because I realized when I was rewatching the stream, I do that every day when I upload to YouTube. I rewatch just to see, you know, if there's things that I can adjust, like was my volume levels good, were the camera angles okay, how often was this like blurry, like do I need to keep a better eye on my camera, all kinds of things like that. And yeah, my video just cut out of nowhere. Like I didn't set it to end the stream, and it was already over. So it was definitely a weird moment because yeah, a lot more detail happened on the roses. I'm just talking away, going on, and that's not captured because I wasn't streaming. And the way my software is set up, I can go ahead and set it to either record, or I can go ahead and set it to stream and record. So right now, when I'm streaming, it's just naturally making a recording as we go, which is handy. Yeah, I'm just going to go in with the suit color. This is my phthalo blue red shade, and I have plenty of green leaning colors where if I needed to go to a more cool tone, that's easy enough to adjust. So I liked having the red shade because I don't have French Ultramarine on my palette. I don't know why. Just for whatever reason, that is just not my color. I am interested in trying maybe like a cobalt blue. And I'm just going to get all this color in here. Yeah, I probably did jinx myself with the bitrate comment. Okay, the song is getting a little bit annoying. Alright, and just need to make sure I have enough water in my mix. Those phthalo colors are so wonderfully strong. I want to go strong enough that you definitely know that there's color on the suit. I also want to give myself some room to do some more shading. And now we're on the track that reminds me of Graham Norton's show every time I hear it. Oh. You know, there's trouble when the music starts buffering. Fun stuff. Alright, so at least my software says I'm still streaming, so I know that there will be a video to upload later on. I'm just gonna keep doing what I can so that you find folks watching the replay don't hear me just complaining about this stream. Technology, man. And so far I've been using the silver brush, number 1, which pretty much doesn't pick up at all since it's so dark. But the silver brush one and the Princeton Velvet Touch one vary by quite a bit. Just to give you an idea, you would think that like if they were in the same series, this would probably be like a 1 and that would probably be a 2 if they were both in the same series. Or in the case of from Sterling's Studios, be a 1 and a 0. Going the opposite way. But anyways, alright, so we have a bunny in a suit. Debating what color I want to do the vest and the waistcoat. Oh, maybe even the shirt. Maybe I'll do the shirt with a different color. I don't know. I kind of figure out color as I'm going along. Going into the quinacridone red, I go ahead and lay in a base for the jelly on the alarm clock because that's not attached to anything else. I can work on getting a coat there. I have some up the side of the butter knife. Kind of debating, do I want it like splattering down the sides? Because this is so small, I want to make sure that it's obvious that it's an alarm clock. I'm gonna leave that as is for now. I'll let that dry down and then we'll see where we are. I think I probably could have used the quinacridone red to go ahead and lay in some shadows, but I'm going to go brass tone for the alarm clock itself. So getting back into that rich green gold. Getting pretty thick. And to help convey, here's where the bells are. The bells, I'm going to do highlights with the bleed proof white later. I do need a bit more contrast to separate the hand from the edge here. That's not a bad start, giving us our general color. And now I'm grabbing some sepia. I think I'm gonna go that route to start darkening up a little bit of the March Hare. I could just keep tilting the mixture a little further and further with the Anandrome blue and get to a really similar value. But I'm going to leave that puddle alone. So I like where it's at, and the sepia gets me there because it's already sitting there. And a slight bit in here. And a slight bit under there. And in fact, I will go ahead and outline the eye. And I'll go ahead and detail part of the nose and the muzzle. Some really faint lining work. I probably could have added some dots for some whiskers, but I'm going to leave that off. The stream looks like it's still going. Alright, so I'm going to just keep an eye on the active bit of the stream. It seems to be going alright. I'm really coming down to some decision moments. Apologies. Oh, that's weird. So it seems like there's gonna be a lot of a hum, because it looks like I'm picking up audio more than me talking, and that shouldn't be the case because I set my noise suppression on this. Great, so I grabbed a little bit more of the darker quinacridone burnt orange and indanthrone blue mix, just so I can go ahead and detail these furry knuckles a little bit more. Yep, sounds like my little one's woken up from his nap. I'm going into the sleeves with a touch of indanthrone, since you can see the edge of the sleeve here. And blotting it off a bit. And since that wash is really thin, I'm going to take advantage of that to pop in some of the details on the coat. Grabbing a little bit more and finish adding some shadow and form. This edge got a little bit lost up here where the lapel is. Trying to re-imply that. I think that edge is still a little bit lost. I'm just grabbing a touch more of the indanthrone. Help show where that is. And then grabbing some sepia for some shadows. We'll go ahead and start giving this clock some more shape. So it's curling around away from us. Going to get darker there. Gonna have a little bit more shape right here, where the bell is curling away from us. I'm going to add a bit more orange on the paw next to the clock. I'm going to go ahead and help give that a little more color and to separate it from the coolness of that clock. The same with the other hand since I have a bit left. I've grabbed a bit more of the blue from the indent through and Quinburnt orange side of the mixture. I'll give this a little bit of a shadowy gray. And I'll also use it over here just to help push the depth of the hand. Create shadow where it's not holding onto the clock. Just kind of see down into the depth there. Colors. I still don't have a color in mind for the waistcoat or ribbon at his neck. I just grabbed a little bit of the phthalo blue turquoise, just to go ahead and outline the plate. And since I still have a little bit left, give that little touch here along this edge. I'll probably come back with either neutral tint or Payne's gray and add a little bit more to it. And the brush is really dry now. And grabbing a touch more. Just jumping around to some of these other plates at the table. I still need to add shadows to everything, but I've been hesitant to do that for the shadows on the table until I have the tablecloth set. That way I know if they'll need to be a little bit warmer or cooler. So everything looks a little bit cartoony until then. Let's go ahead and darken the bottom here a little bit more. Because I've noticed a lot of times when you're sitting close to a table, this edge will be a little bit darker. And smooth out that line. Kind of feeling like maybe some green. Maybe I'll do that for the ribbon. And the phthalo green yellow shade. So really bright there. We don't have too much that's very bright on this end, so this will give it a nice pop. The color's a little strong, so I'm blotting that off just a touch. Right now I'll do both sides of the bow. And I'll come back in with shadows to help pick everything out detail-wise. Alright, while we're letting that dry a moment, I'm going to grab just a touch of the quinacridone coral and mixing that with just a tiny bit of neutral tint. And go a little bit of a muted pinkish tone for the inside of this ear over here. Then rinsing the brush. It's not a thorough rinse, but I want to soften that edge to the end. That's probably a little too much water. I'm going to just pull that back into the rest of this wash. I am a little bit more likely to avoid a bloom there. I do think I already have one going on this edge. I could do another glaze later if I need to. I'm grabbing a little bit more of that mix. And just adding that to the end of the nose here. Alright, so it says my stream is still going, but I have a surprising amount of drop frames. Blue with yellow or silver usually for men's waistcoats. Yeah, some yellow would be nice. Yeah, I think so. Well, thank you very much for the suggestion. Boring options now. I don't think they're boring. I mean, I could do it with I don't know, some purple or something. But no, I kind of like the thought of some yellow. A little bit of a bright spot over here. So for right now, I've gone ahead and grabbed some of the Hansa Yellow Medium. We go with a very bright yellow. And I might decide to tone that down later. We'll see. And at this point, grabbing a little bit of the quinacridone gold to go ahead and lay a bit of a glaze down on this alarm clock. I'm gonna get that little water drop off the ferrule. Alright, and while we're waiting for that to dry, we're gonna add some little chunks of fruit into the mix there. Just a little bit of the purely maroon. Check the strength of that mix. And later on, I'll come back into this with a little bit of the bleed-proof white and add some really shiny highlights, because that's really what makes jelly look like jelly. It has this subtle glisten to it. So right now it looks pretty flat, and that's okay. I'm going to go back in with the very gray mix that I did with the Andanthrone blue and quinacridone burnt orange. Just go ahead and give our cutlery here a touch more depth. And I noticed that our music has ended. Yeah, this is one of those shorter playlists. I think we're about at the end anyway, but I just want to have maybe another track or two while we're getting wrapped up. And to add a little bit of shadow to the jacket. I'm going to get a little bit of Payne's Gray, just to go ahead and push that shadow a little more cool. very gently putting in some line work. So next month is what's referred to as Mermay, and I've been debating a challenge on that. I'm not the greatest lover of mermaids, but it sounds interesting. Okay, so a little bit of line work on the collar, maybe a line down here for where the buttons would be. I realized I missed his eyes. Yeah. I'm going to go with an orange for right now. This is just quinacridone burnt orange. I'll just see if that grows on me or not. I can try to tilt that mix a little differently later. And right back to the sepia, pretty thin mix, so I can go ahead and just do a quick shadow where these ribbons are. And while I have that sepia here, just doing a subtle bit of shadow down here. Just where the vest gets close to the suit, and where the vest also gets close to the table. And a little bit of shadow back here. Should get a slightly stronger mix. And I grabbed a little bit of the Quinn burnt orange. From where that puddle of the Indian Throne blue is sitting. Just to give a little bit of a shadow for the neck of the bunny. I think we're in a pretty good spot. Which is actually right on time. Alright, so just a quick double check for tomorrow's prompt. Alright, so tomorrow is Dodo Bird and then Frog Footman. And that would be, well, there's still the talking flowers, but for the most part faces are figure out as far as where they're going to be, so I can go ahead and block in those insane splashes. So, it's been fun, and thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, keep painting. We'll see you tomorrow.